Hi, my beautiful friends. Welcome to my channel, Tropical Empress in Spirit. My name is Amanda. Hello. How are y'all? I hope everyone's doing well today. I wanted to talk to y'all about a personal story of mine that there is a spiritual undertone to it, but it's more of just a personal experience of willpower. I'm being guided to share this with you because when I woke up this morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I had a song playing in my head. And that song's been in my head all day long. It's, going on in my head right now. And um, I went through and I was pulling a few cards out, asking, Spirit, what exactly does this song mean? Like, what are you trying to tell me? And I went through and I pulled out a couple of cards that, the Magician, out of two different decks, I pulled out the Magician. And then I pulled a couple other cards out of one of my Oracle decks. And it pretty much was kind of telling me the same thing. And I thought that if I went through and played this song like on YouTube, or if I could find it on the radio or whatever, that the song would stop playing, because usually that's what tends to happen, but that wasn't the case today. And so when I went on YouTube, was looking up the song to play it, play it a couple times hoping it would stop, played in my head. It didn't stop, and then right after that song played, another song behind it played, which I know the song very well. I mean, I know the first song, but the second song I know well too. And it's kind of the same message to me. So the first song was Impossible, or not Impossible, I'm sorry, Unstoppable by Sia. The second song is by Imagine Dragons called Whatever It Takes. And so I want to share with you this life experience I had that spirits tell me someone needs to hear this right now. And maybe this will give you that encouragement or that push to not give up, to, not lose your hope and willpower. That, there's something you're fighting, and I feel like maybe you're even fighting people in general, whether that's people at work or people at home, or maybe it's even something other than that. Maybe it's something like what I'm going, or what I went through years ago. Um, I don't know. I just know that I was guided to share this with you today. So, bear with me. I hope that, there's a message in this that resonates, or, maybe you'll understand what that underlying message is. So, okay, I want to start back in 2003. I had only been married right under a year, and I was on my way to work, and halfway to work, I ended up in a bad car accident. Someone hit me. They failed to yield to me at a red light, and ended up totaling out my SUV. And initially, I thought I was okay. I just thought maybe I just suffered whiplash, and that, I'd be fine in no time, But the next day, I mean, I hurt. I hurt more than I thought I would hurt, just suffering whiplash. So I went and, made an appointment with my chiropractor. And it was someone I had known since I was young, whose son played ball with my baby brother. And so I went in and saw him, and, he took a series of x-rays and, said that, it looked like my pelvic bone was kind of pushed, like, so it was kind of like this way. And that, yeah, he felt I had suffered whiplash. Okay, fine. I'll get some adjustments and I should be good in no time. I was only 22 at the time of this accident, and I was in great shape. I was like 120 pounds, and I'm 5'3", but I was like muscular, because I waited tables, so I was on my feet all day. So I was mostly muscle. I had very little body fat. Plus, I shot pool a few times a week and I also bowled. So I was very active physically. So for something like that, even though the wreck was, pretty bad, I thought my body would just bounce back. I'd be okay in no time. And, well, as the weeks turned to months, I wasn't getting any better. And I decided then it was time to go see another doctor. And I even told my chiropractor, I think I need to go see another doctor because something doesn't feel right. And it felt like my symptoms were getting progressively worse, not better. And I think that's probably what scared me too. So I went and saw my PCP. He ordered an MRI. And the MRI came back negative. There was no findings of anything being wrong. And I'm shocked because I'm like, why am I in all this pain? And when I mean pain, I could not be on my feet for very long. I had trouble bending over. I had trouble even walking at times because the pain would run down my leg. It was from my low back and it would run down my leg into my foot to where it was like stabbing pain, or I would have like numbness and tingling sensation. And I even noticed like the back of my low back, like your tailbone area, I noticed mine was swollen. And it seemed like it always stayed that way. But yet my MRI is negative. I mean, I'm just baffled. So I'm like, okay, well, I still feel like I need to go see another doctor. So I decided to go see an orthopedic. And, they kind of looked at the MRI and they're like, there's nothing wrong. It's just maybe you need physical therapy. Okay, fine, whatever. Maybe that'll help, even though I know I'm having trouble walking, at times and staying on my feet, as long as I'd want and how I used to be able to and so on. So, and the same thing, my pain was getting worse. It wasn't improving. So I went and found another doctor, a different orthopedic, and it was saying BS. And I'm just frustrated at this point because I'm looking at these doctors like, how can y'all not see that there's something seriously wrong here? And I would go through the whole list of everything of, how active I was before the accident, the things I did, what I did, for work and so forth. But it's like it went in one ear and went out the other. And because they couldn't find anything wrong on an MRI, they just blew it off. Oh, you just need physical therapy. Okay. So that went on for like 4 or 5 months. Well, then I'm like, well, I'm not stopping here because I'm not getting any better. And now I wasn't living anymore. I was merely existing. And it's like, no, I want my life back. I miss my life the way it was before this accident. I didn't ask for this to happen. I mean, it wasn't even my fault. And I think that's what made me even more mad is that this person who decided to, not, wait to yield is the one that put me in all this pain. And so I was going through more doctors and I was even getting deep tissue massages to help. And yeah, it would help to a certain point, but it wasn't taking away all my pain. And I just knew something's wrong here. Something's more seriously wrong than what the doctors are understanding or realizing. And they're supposed to be the experts. They went to all those years of medical school, but they can't find the problem. Like, what's going on here? And so it was very frustrating. And I went to more doctors. And same thing. It seemed like every doctor I went to slammed the door on my face and pretty much accused me of either being mentally crazy or seeking drugs, calling me a drug addict. Well, I knew that wasn't it, but let them believe whatever they wanted to believe. And then about 2.5 years after my accident, my husband tore his shoulder and he needed rotator cuff repair surgery. So We went to his orthopedic, which was a different doctor I had never seen. And they were able to find the tear in his shoulder. And, we're able to fix him up. And my husband, during one of his appointments with the surgeon, had brought me up and, was talking about me. And it just so happened his surgeon used to be a spine surgeon, but he got out of it for whatever reason and went to doing shoulders. And so he said that, he would take a look at me to see if there was something, he can do that, maybe the doctors missed something. And I said, okay. I mean, I had nothing to lose. And so I went in, I scheduled my appointment. I went in, he evaluated me. He didn't even look at my MRI. He evaluated me. And he knew just from turning me a certain way that I had a split piriformis muscle. And the piriformis muscle runs from it connects to your hip and somewhere into your spine or something too. I can't remember exactly, but it's right there. And he explained that everyone is born differently, and the piriformis muscle can appear three ways. It can appear to where it runs over the sciatic nerve, or it runs under the sciatic nerve, or it's split like scissors and it runs above and below it. And he thought mine was split. And because my pelvis was tilted forward, that's what stretched it, and that was causing all the leg pain. And because it felt like my butt was on fire. I mean, I couldn't sit for very long either because my butt was on fire. And it hurt so bad. So he told me that he still does these surgeries once or twice a year where he'll go in and he'll cut one side of the muscle to release the sciatic nerve. And I was like, okay, cool. That was something. That was more than what I was getting from anyone else. And so I went and had the surgery, and immediately I felt it had helped. Did it fix it completely? No. However, I got a lot of relief from it. I at least didn't have that burning pain in my butt anymore where I felt like my butt was on fire. And so, he looked at the MRI, but he's like, I don't, I know you've been going through this for a while, but there's nothing here that I'm seeing that's surgically is wrong that can be fixed. Okay, well, what am I going to do? I wasn't going to just drop it there either. I thanked him for helping me, as much as he did with cutting the piriformis muscle. And, I was going to still go out there and find more doctors, to find someone who could help me. And I was still going to my chiropractor, getting adjustments, but I was still in a lot of pain. And I became to where I was pretty much almost bedridden because I really couldn't do anything. I really couldn't function without being in excruciating pain. And it was just getting worse. And I got so frustrated, and this was about 3 years after the accident. Still nothing's changed, and I still got the swelling in my tailbone and this stabbing pain in my back that hasn't gone away. It hasn't eased up. Nothing. Nothing's helped it, except for cutting that piriformis muscle helped that fiery pain in my butt, and that was it. And it helped a little bit in my leg, but not a lot. So I ended up having a conversation with my chiropractor's wife one day. She worked for his office and did the administrative stuff for the office, and just, told her I was just frustrated. It's like, I don't know what else to do here. I know something's wrong with me, but what? I don't know. But I'm not getting any help from all the doctors I've gone to. And, and she's like, you know what? I think you probably should go see a different type of doctor. And she told me, she's like, and I think I know who you should go see. And it was a specialist who I never even heard of, like his specialty. But she said that he wouldn't see anyone without referral. And so she said that they would give me the referral so I can go see him. Just to see if he could do anything, if he can help me. Well, in short, he was more like a pain management doctor, but he was more than a pain management doctor in other ways, because he did like sports medicine. So, I went and I made my appointment, and I went for my, appointment, and I went through the whole spiel again, as I told all the other doctors before, what happened, what my life was like before that accident, and how drastically it changed since the accident. And he said, well, I think you have a disc problem. There is something wrong with your disc. And I said, okay, doc. I said, I believe you. I have no doubt that there is something wrong. However, I said, I've had, like 2, 3 MRIs at that point, and all 3 of them showed up negative, no findings. So what, what are we supposed to do here? Because I'm like I got my, a dead horse, or I got my back up against the wall. Well, I don't know what else to do. And, and he told me, he's like, well, even though the MRIs come back negative, he said, unfortunately, you have those doctors out there who look at the MRI as the gold standard. So if nothing shows up on the MRI, they wash their hands of it and send you on your way, there's nothing they can help you with. He said, however, there is another test that can be done. And he said, this test will show once and for all if it is correct, that my theory is correct, that you have a bad disc, which I do believe you do. And I said, okay, what's the name of this test? He said, it's a discogram, and I'll do the test. And he explained to me what involved the test and everything. And I said, okay, this is something new. I never ever heard of that test. In those few years of going to all those different specialists, like when I say I went to over a dozen doctors, that's no exaggerating. And I believe it was actually more than that. Different specialists. And still, nothing. So, the day of the test, I go in, and sure enough, it was confirmed once and for all. I had a torn disc. That my disc was bad. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the worst, mine was a 4. So it was pretty freaking bad. Bad enough that it should have showed up on that MRIs, but it didn't. And, at that point, I was like, thank you, God. Now I can get my life back. But what I didn't stop and think about was what I was going to have to go through to do that. I had an answer. I was thankful for that diagnosis, that thank you, someone can finally prove what is wrong with me and how to get me fixed now. But I didn't think about that it was going to mean I would have to have surgery. And that's exactly what my doctor told me. He's like, well, the only way we can fix you is you have to have surgery. I was like, oh, great. Here we go. And so, but after, 3.5 years, close to almost 4 years, I went through hell. Going through this with my back. Not getting a diagnosis, being told I was crazy, being told I was, a drug addict. Then the list goes on. And so that test vindicated me is how I felt. And so when my doctor who did my test had said I needed surgery, now it's like, okay, well, out of all these doctors that I went through, and a few of them were surgeons, and they were supposed to be the best in their field, who was going to let and trust to do my surgery when they couldn't even diagnose me? I'm just like, oh, great. Now I got a whole new battle in front of me, to figure out. And so I went back and after my, test was done, I went and saw my chiropractor and his wife and filled him in. And his wife said, yeah, I've had a bad disc and I had to have surgery. And, they told me the name of the doctor that did her surgery. And it was already one of those doctors I'd already seen, who slammed the door in my face and said there was nothing wrong with me. And there was nothing he could do for me. And in so many words that I'm, mentally crazy or whatever, And I sat there and I'm like, I wasn't just going to let anyone cut me open. That much was clear. And I knew that. And as much as I hated it, I knew I had to swallow my pride and go see this doctor and hope and pray that he would look at that CT scan and say that, yes, I needed surgery and he can fix me, kind of thing. I mean, I'm like, I feel like someone was, playing a joke on me, that I could not believe that this was happening to me. So, but I swallowed my pride and I went to the appointment, and my husband was there with me, and the doctor looks at my CT scan from the discgram, and he just pulls him up and he looks at him. He's like, okay, well, now I got something I can fix now. Do you know, I mean, I want to strangle that man. I mean, because I was so freaking mad, that now you see that you thought I was crazy before, and here it is. I'm not crazy. I'm not a drug addict like you thought, that kind of thing. But I had to sit here and deal with his ego as to be nice. And so he told me, he said, listen, I can't make you 100% better. That will never happen. Any kind of surgery, if doctors ever tell you they can make you 100% better, they're lying to you. Okay? I can't make you 100%. But I can get you to maybe about 80, 90% better. At that time, I'm like, well, 80, 90% is better than nothing, okay? I just wanted my life back. That's all I cared about. And I was willing to go through the ends of the earth to get my life back. I was going to fight this all the way through. And so then he tells me, he was like, but I want to tell you something. I want to say something to you. And that is, you might as well kiss your life, that you had before. Kiss it goodbye. The things that you were able to do before your accident, you're not going to be able to do. Even after this surgery, I'm just looking, I'm like, what? So he's telling me that I won't be able to go back and do the job I was doing before, waiting tables, and okay, I can get a different job, fine. But I think what probably stuck it in my heart was like a double-edged sword is when he tried telling me that I would never be able to bowl or shoot pool again. Hey, I was like, and at that point, I remember I just sat there. I felt defeated, but I wasn't defeated, because in that moment, it's like, I went through almost 4 years of hell, of excruciating pain to get to this point. And I missed out on a lot of my life in all this pain, to not be able to enjoy any of it. To now, okay, the things that brought me so much love, enjoyment, and passion, this quack is telling me I'll never be able to do again. So, as much as I hated it, I just had to say, okay, fine. You know what? Just get me out of this pain. I was suffering that much. Get me out of this pain. Just get me out of this pain. So he said, okay. So the surgery was scheduled, and I come out of, the operation. I'm in my room because I had to stay a night at the hospital. And I wake up in my room, and immediately I could feel a difference. I felt better. But I felt really stiff. Like I was in a different kind of pain. And so I just, I looked around and asked my husband where the nurse was. And he's like, well, I'll call the nurse. Are you in pain? It's like, yes, but I need out of this bed. He's like, okay. So he went and got the nurse, and she came in, and she's like, yeah, what can I do for you? I said, get me out of this bed. Get me out of this bed right now. She's like, Well, honey, you've had a long day. They just did major surgery on you. They've given you, medication. Don't you want to just sleep tonight and then get up tomorrow? It's like, no. Get me up, get me out of this bed, get me out of this bed right now. Okay? So she's like, well, I have to get a brace. You can't get up and move around without a brace. Fine, I'll wait. Get me up now, you know. So an hour later goes by and she comes back from the pharmacy with the brace and puts it on me. And I had to use a walker, but yeah, you better bet your sweet behind. I got up and I walked that hallway for a couple hours that night, back and forth. I burned a hole in that floor. I even wore my husband out because he was following behind me, pushing my IV stand. I didn't care. Okay, I was determined to get up and get moving. So the quicker I got up and got moving, the better off I would be in the long run. And I knew that too. Even though it hurt, and I'm not going to say it didn't hurt, but I was determined to fight to get my life back. The quicker, the better. And so, I finally, went back to the room and lay down. I said, okay, I know I'm going to be okay. And I did feel the difference. I did feel better. Yeah, I had the surgical pain, but I knew the surgery worked. I knew the difference. And so the next morning, my surgeon walks into my hospital room and, he's like, yeah, I heard you've been up, last night walking around and back and forth, pacing the floors. And, I just looked at him and said, what do you want me to do? No, I'm not just going to lay in this bed like helpless. No. If you are as good as you think you are, or as good as I was told you are, I should have no problem getting up, moving around. And I was determined. I was determined to move. So he's like, well, that's great. I'm glad that you're up moving about. He's like, but, maybe you should take it easy a little bit. It's like, no. He was like, well, you can stay another night in the hospital if you want. I have no problem keeping you, or I can release you today. It's up to you. But if you want to stay another night, I'm okay with that. And I just looked at him. I said, no, thank you. I want to go home. I'm ready to go home. I'll take it from here, So he's like, okay. So I went home, and for the next several months, I could only walk or stand. I couldn't, or lay down. I couldn't sit except for when I had to use the restroom and to eat. Like 20, 30 minutes was the max. And the rest of the time I either better been walking or laying flat. That's it. Okay, I got it. So I did. I walked my neighborhood for those few months because that's all they told me to do. Just make sure you walk. Got it. I can do this. This ain't nothing now, And I got better. And I got my strength back. And, and I felt good. I'm like, thank you, God. I'm better. I can feel it. Thank you, And so I went, it was about 6 months after surgery. I had a wild hair up my butt. And I looked at my husband. I said, well, I know I was told that I wouldn't be able to shoot pool again, but me, being stubborn, setting my ways and determined with, as my husband would say, the willpower that I have, yeah, I was going to find out. I wasn't just going to take that surgeon's word for it. I had to find out for me. Not listen to anyone else or allow anyone else to tell me yes or no. I was going to find out for me. So I told my husband, I said, let's go to the pool hall. I want to know if I can play. I need to find out. He's like, okay, let's go. Went up to the pool hall. No problems playing. No problems. Did I get sore at times? Yeah. But I could play. And it felt great to be back on that pool table again. and to be in my environment, to be back in a place I love, my passion that, brought me so much joy, and that adrenaline that ran through my veins again. Just the adrenaline and wanting to compete again. And it wasn't long after that I signed up for a tournament, and I did pretty darn good for not playing after 4 years. I did well. It surprised me, but I did it. I did exactly what the doctor told me I wouldn't be able to do. And so I went to my follow-up, and it was a year. And right before I went to my follow-up, my 1-year follow-up, I got a wild hair up my butt again. And I asked my husband, I said, let's go to the bowling alley. Now I want to know if I can bowl. I need to know. He's like, okay. So, he wasn't going to bowl with me. So it was just me. We were there to find out, can I throw that bowling ball? Yep. Picked up that bowling ball like it was nothing. Threw it without no problems. And surprised the heck out of me, because knowing I hadn't bowled in over 4 years, almost 5 years at that point, I was bowling like I never sat that bowling ball down. Like, the highest score I got was like in the 250s. Okay, a perfect game is 300. And got up to the 250s. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And was I sore? Well, yeah, I was sore. But it was well worth it. And knowing the fact that I could do it. And did I feel it a little more the next day? Yeah, I did. But I expected to. But at least I knew I could still bowl too. And so I went to my 1-year follow-up, and my surgeon looked at me. He was like, so how are you feeling? I'm like, I feel great. I feel a lot better. I said, I went and shot pool, and I went and bowled. And I had no problems. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, really? Yeah, really. And he's like, you know what? I was wrong about you. And I'm just looking at him. And though he didn't elaborate on what that meant, nor did he actually apologize, that was closest thing to apology I was going to get from that man. And the fact that, he was even willing to admit that he was wrong, which I knew he was saying he was wrong about me for pushing me to the side and not listening to me and taking the time to find out what was wrong with me, knowing that there was a serious problem that he could fix. And then to also turn around and tell me I wouldn't be able to bowl or shoot pool, but I turned around and did both. So I felt vindicated. Not that I needed that vindication, but it was just, you should never, understand being a realist, because I'm an optimistic realist, but you should never tell someone they can't do something. You should at least encourage them, like, listen, some people, may have trouble doing this, but maybe it'll be different for you, kind of deal, okay? But no, he just flat out said you wouldn't be able to do this and that. But I did both, and I'm still doing both. So I think, I was gutted to tell you this, because through those years, I had to be resilient. I had to fight. Even when everyone doubted me, when everyone underestimated me, I knew inside that I wasn't crazy. I knew that I wasn't a drug addict. I knew there was something wrong with me. And I was determined to find out what it was and to get me fixed. If I had just accepted the doctor's words telling me left and right that there's nothing wrong with you, go home, get over it kind of deal, I would be sitting right here right now suffering in agony. I would probably be a lot worse than what I was all those years ago. And that is scary to think that, because now I just wonder, How many more people out there are just like me who went through that and are going through it right now where the doctors have just slammed the door in their face, okay? I'm not a doctor, okay? So understand me. But just the thought that, whether it's medical, like it is with me, or any other part of your life where people have doubted you and told you, no, it's not possible, or no, you can't do it, or no, you won't succeed, or whatever. And because they allowed those people to talk them out of it instead of, having more faith in themselves and trusting their self and listening deep within, that things may have turned out so differently, or that they would be farther than where they are currently, And I understand this life, everything happens for a reason. And, that 4 years of hell that I went through, okay? Listen, I don't know what, the reason was for that. I still don't understand. But what I can tell you is I persevered and it made me stronger. It made me stronger. And I learned a lot from it through that process that I may not otherwise have learned. But I can tell you that I'm a different person than what I was back then. Maybe some ways good, maybe other ways not so much, maybe no difference, I don't know. But I know that I learned even then, as I was challenged again, that I'm a lot stronger than I realize. And I think that's what Spirit wants me to tell you, is you are stronger than you realize. And that you need to have more faith in yourself. That, there is something out there that you want to go after it. No matter who tells you it's not possible or you won't succeed, you make that decision for yourself. Don't allow all those naysayers to tell you how to live your life. As long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not breaking the law or any craziness like that, go out there. Find out. Be like this magician. Because like I said, I pulled the magician out when I was just shuffling, trying to figure out why this song kept going on in my head. Be unstoppable, okay? That's what I want you to do. Be unstoppable. Do whatever it takes, however long, okay? Because I was unstoppable and I was going to do whatever it took to get me well, to get my life back, so I can have, that chance to compete again. That's a big part of me. Is I love to be out there on those bowling lanes and on that pool table. That adrenaline I get, it brings me to life more, and the people out there that, thought maybe I wasn't any good anymore or doubted me or didn't think that I could end up being as good as I turn out to be. Whatever it was. I didn't listen to them, okay? No, I listened to me. I trusted me. And though it was hard to have faith and trust the universe, I had to do that too. And I knew there was a purpose behind it. A challenge, a test, maybe both. Maybe there was something I was supposed to learn in those years to bring into the present today. Maybe I'll face another challenge, which, I have faced many challenges and I've had another challenge, but that's for another day, that I'll share later. But I made it through, I believed in me, and I didn't allow someone else to tell me, to stop me or to water down my willpower. Okay. I was going to manifest it in any other way I can. I was going to transmute all that energy, the naysayers, the people who doubted me or wanted to keep me down. That gave me motivation and made me want to fight that much harder. I'm a fiery person. I'm a fiery Pisces, as I say. No. You're not going to knock me down. Not that easily. I'm going to get back up. One way or the other, I'm going to get back up. And I did get back up. Maybe I had to kick and scream for a while, but I got back up. And I showed them that I could still do it. Because I believed in me. I didn't need them to tell me I was right. I needed to know that for me. To know that I was right. That I trusted my intuition and my body to tell me that I was right. I knew I was right. I knew there was something wrong. I may not knew exactly what it was, but I knew. And it turned out, a bad disc that pretty much knocked me on my behind for a few years. And, it caused, nerve damage too, that I still deal with today. But you know what? I still keep going. I still keep pushing on, baby. Let me tell you. I still keep going. And the other part of the story is what's crazy is I end up going through, and a few years after that, my husband fell and broke his back. He had to have surgery. And I had to, care for him through that. And because of, his condition, I had to put my body through a lot physically to take care of him. Like literally push him around a wheelchair and all this and that, just to make this short. And to do that when he's 6'4.5" and weighed about 280 pounds, and I'm 5'3" and I'm 108 pounds. Yeah, that was crazy, but I did it, and I thought I broke my back in the process. Well, I ended up going to my doctor and telling him, look, something's wrong here. I think I may have broke my back because I feel like I never had my surgery to fix me the first time. I said, something's wrong, And he listened to me, and, he's like, well, we need to send you for an MRI, see if anything shows up. Okay. And I thought it was going to be the same thing like the first, second, third, fourth time, like it was over those 4 years. And the MRI results came back, and it shocked me. I learned that I had what they call a tarlov cyst. That's pressing up against a nerve root in my low back. And it was the same nerve root that my bad disc was pressing up against. And it was there ever since I was pretty much born. The doctors say you're born with them. And so it was there all those years. And suddenly, it shows up in an MRI. What happened to all those other MRIs? If it's been there all these years, someone explain to me why none of the other MRIs found it. And now suddenly it's there, and I mean, what? And so when the doctor told me that, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And of course I'm mad because that just adds to all the agony I went through all those years before, with the bad disc. That just added to it. That was just another layer. And so, I told my doctor, I said, well, I don't understand. Why is it that it's been there all these years, but yet even through my surgery, nothing was ever mentioned to me about it being there. And so my doctor, and this is not the surgeon who did my back surgery, this was the one that did my test, my discogram. He went through and looked into the notes that my surgeon sent him. And in those notes, guess what? That tarlov cyst was there. And my surgeon never told me. He found it when he went into my surgery. So understand me. I was beyond mad. And I don't understand. If you find something that could have been part of the problem, why wouldn't you mention it then? It's like, I don't get it. And that's what I told my doctor. I said, I don't understand why I was not told, you know. And he apologized to me and said, I apologize. I didn't read over his notes, when they were sent to me. They were just put in your file. But, it's like, Doc, I'm not blaming you. You know, I'm mad at the surgeon because he did the surgery and he saw it to make a note of it, but not even tell me about it. Why? I don't understand why. Like, you know, I think that my intuition tells me he didn't want to tell me because, see, he missed two things. He just didn't overlook one problem, he overlooked two problems. The bad disc and the tarlip cyst that was pressing against state nerve root. And you put me through 4 years of ungodly hell, of excruciating pain that my family also suffered through along with me because they had to watch me go through all this misery and pain and to not be able to enjoy my life to the fullest when they could have done something, when something could have been happened. They could have even mentioned the test that the doctor who did my test had mentioned. Had someone had told me about that test 4 years earlier, it wouldn't have even been an issue. I would have been able to go back to my life just like that. Because one of the things I wanted to do, what was my ultimate goal was, there were 3 things. I wanted to be a crime scene investigator. I wanted to be a cop. But I also, looked at possibly going deeper into billiards pool to play it more on a professional level, like on the national stage, like the true pros out there that you see on TV and stuff. And because I went through that 4 years, that took me right out of it. Did it stop me from playing? No. But to me, those 4 years, those were my prime years because I was, getting better at the game each day because I was playing it nearly every day or every other day. I kept up with my practice and played as much as possible, playing in different tournaments, playing against different people, playing in different pool halls, to where I could have probably gotten on that national stage. It wasn't for the fame, but I just wanted to play on that top tier level. That's what I want to do. And because someone, or I should say several, who want to be wrapped up in their ego and play God with my life, it was taken from me for those years. But then on the other side of it, I look at it as, okay, well, maybe the universe had other plans for me. I wasn't meant to play it on that national stage. Okay, I can accept that. But, it's just, I think it's still like a double-edged sword. It's still like, a punch in the gut kind of thing. But at the end of the day, at least I came out of it stronger. And most importantly, I came out of it getting my life back and showing that I had that willpower to keep fighting until the end. I was going to keep fighting no matter how long it took me, no matter how much I had to walk through hell, through the gates of hell, and through that fire. I was going to find that answer, and I was going to come out and get me better in the end. So, my beautiful people, just trust what you want for your life. Do not give up those hopes. Don't allow anyone out there to tell you you can't do it. Okay? You can do it. But you have to believe in that yourself. Stop looking to others to validate you. You validate you. You know your worth. You allow yourself to decide what your worth is, not others. Look in that mirror and say, I'm good enough. I'm beautiful. I'm handsome. You know, I got the skills, the talents. I got the brains, the personality, the tenacity, even the feistiness, whatever it is, the confidence. Go out there and get it. Because like the other two cards I got, when I pulled out these magician cards, when they popped out, I pulled this out of my other oracle decks. And the other card I got out was, it says, make it your mission to accept all parts of you, the good and what you perceive to be your imperfections. Don't look for any outside validation. It's already within you. Once you realize your true beauty and potential, you will never doubt yourself again. I'll read that one more time. Make it your mission to accept all parts of you, the good and what you perceive to be your imperfections. Don't look for any outside validation. It's already within you. Once you realize your true beauty and potential, you will never ever doubt yourself again. Okay? And the second card that popped out was, it says, if you think you are alone, you are not. We are beside you in all challenges that you face. Trust that outside forces or sources will always be working with you to ensure the best outcome in every situation. We have your best interest at heart. We love you. I'll read that again. If you think you are alone, you are not. We are beside you in all challenges that you face. Trust that outside sources will always be working with you to ensure you're the best outcome in every situation. We have your best interests at heart. We love you. So listen to that, beautiful people. Whatever that is, trust that, believe in that, and believe in yourself most importantly. Don't look for your worth in others. You define your worth. That's what Spirit wants you to know. Define your own worth. Don't allow the other, outside forces or others to define it for you. Okay? You define you, and then you show the world what your definition of you is. That beautiful light being, that beautiful soul, that magic that makes you unique. The magic that's missing in this world. And it's going to keep missing it if you stop, believing in yourself or allow others to tell you that you can't and that you won't. And start saying again, I can and I will. And keep getting up. Even if you get knocked down, get back up, baby. Fight again. All right, my beautiful people. I hope that this is, uplifting. I hope it brings some kind of encouragement, motivation, maybe a pep talk if that's what y'all need. It's like a spirit's just wanted me to tell y'all this, and do whatever it takes. Be unstoppable. Go out there and conquer your reality. Until next time, be good.